All right, in chapter 15, we're going to look at fallacies of relevance. So if you recall from the first part of the course, we talked about what it takes to have a good argument. An argument is a connected set of premises intended to support a conclusion, but a good argument requires a lot more. Remember the rules of conversation? The rules of conversation said that we ought to use the right amount of information, the rule of quantity, the rule of quality, that the information that we use should be true, and the rule of relevance, what we should say should be relevant to the conversation, and the rule of manner. So in offering an argument, we're not just giving reasons, a connected set of premises or reasons to support a conclusion, but we're offering some relevant reasons. In this chapter, we're going to look at fallacies of relevance, and the fallacies of relevance that we'll look at will be a number of ad hominem fallacies as well as appeals fallacies. So appeals to authority, popular opinion, tradition, pity, and fear. We want to follow the rules of quantity, quality, manner, and relevance. We want to give enough information, but not too much. We want to give information that is true. We want to give that information in an orderly manner. And we also want to give information that is relevant. This is also true of arguments. So if I give you an argument where the reasons are not relevant to the conclusion, those reasons should not persuade you or convince you that you have reason to believe that the conclusion is true. One way for an argument to go wrong, in addition to unclarity, which we talked about in the two previous chapters, unclarity due to vagueness and unclarity due to ambiguity, is to offer true statements that have no bearing on the truth of the conclusion. So even if statements are clear, not vague, not ambiguous, if they're not relevant to the conclusion, then we could have an argument that appears to be sound, but is not, because it commits one of the fallacies of relevance. Oftentimes people are convinced by fallacious arguments, and fallacies of relevance can occur both mistakenly and on purpose. In fact, we have a name for when someone intentionally offers information that is irrelevant. That's a red herring. A red herring is used to confuse somebody by leading them off the scent, so to speak. So to give reasons that are not relevant to supporting some claim, people do this all the time, and oftentimes, as listeners, we are convinced by these arguments. We're not aware that we've been led off the scent. Also, sometimes we're convinced because we're just too polite to suggest that the person is giving us information that is irrelevant. The best way to deal with irrelevant claims is to just ignore them and deal with whatever claims are given that are relevant to the argument. So ad hominem fallacies are arguments against a person rather than against the claim itself or the argument itself. Although a person's character traits are sometimes relevant, they're typically not relevant to arguing for or against some claim. For example, if someone is a witness in a murder trial, it may be relevant whether or not they are known liars. But typically when we argue for or against some claim, making assertions about the character of persons giving arguments or claims is not relevant to the argument itself. That is not relevant to whether the claim is true or the argument is sound or strong. So we're going to look at 5 ad hominem fallacies here. And remember, ad hominem fallacies are arguments that employ criticisms or critiques or objections against a person's character rather than against an argument or a particular claim. So we'll look at ad hominem deniers, ad hominem silencers, ad hominem dismissers, tu quo que, and genetic fallacies. The ad hominem denier is a very common ad hominem argument. It attacks a person's character while also denying the truth of some claim or the soundness or strength of an argument. So in addition to attacking some claim, rejecting the claim, or objecting to the claim, it also attacks the person's character, makes a claim about their character. For example, if Jill says to her friend, "Jason stole your bicycle," and Jason responds, "I did not. Everyone knows Jill is a liar," this is an ad hominem denier, because Jason is claiming that he did not steal the bicycle, therefore denying Jill's claim, while also attacking Jill's character. Everyone knows Jill is a liar. So an ad hominem denier does address the claim, but it addresses the claim by attacking the person's character. "I didn't steal your bicycle. You can see that. You shouldn't believe Jill because Jill is a liar." A denier is different from an ad hominem silencer. An ad hominem silencer does not address the claim or the argument. It merely silences the speaker without denying the truth of what is said. So, whereas a denier both denies the claim being made and attacks character, a silencer merely attacks the speaker's character by silencing them without actually denying the truth of what is said. So, for example, where Jill says, "Jason stole your bicycle," an ad hominem silencer would not deny that claim. Jason would not deny that he stole the bike. He would simply say, "Be quiet, this is none of your business." He would silence the speaker. And slightly distinct from the silencer and the denier is the ad hominem dismisser. Like the silencer, the ad hominem dismisser does not address the claim or the argument, but unlike the silencer, it does not seek to silence the speaker, but actually to dismiss the speaker as unreliable or untrustworthy. But again, it does not deny the claim or the argument. So for example, if Jill says, "Jason stole your bicycle," Jason says, "Everyone knows Jill is a liar." So in this case, whereas the denier would deny that Jason stole the bicycle, Jason would say, "I didn't do it." In the dismisser, he doesn't deny it. He merely dismisses Jill's testimony, Jill's argument, by accusing Jill of being a liar. So each of the ad hominem fallacies, the denier, the silencer, and the dismisser, attack character. Only the denier denies the claim. The silencer silences the speaker, and the dismisser dismisses the speaker as untrustworthy. Next up is the tu quoque fallacy. Literally, "you're another." This is a kind of fallacy of relevance that depends on calling someone out for being hypocritical. So the tu quoque turns the argument back upon the speaker by claiming that they are hypocritical in making the claim that they're making. But this argument is fallacious because whether or not the speaker is hypocritical typically has nothing to do with the truth of the claims that the speaker is making. An example of this is where a mom might say to their child, "Put that cigarette out, cigarettes can kill you." So imagine Johnny is a teenager and he responds by saying, "You smoke, you can't tell me not to smoke." This is a tu quoque. Johnny turns the claim that cigarettes can kill you around on his mom and says, "You can't tell me not to smoke because you smoke." But this is fallacious because, of course, Johnny's mom is right. Cigarettes can kill you. And whether she smokes or not is irrelevant to whether or not her claim is true. So the tu quoque is an ad hominem. It directs the attack, the response to the argument, toward the speaker rather than towards the claim itself. So rather than responding to the claim cigarettes can kill you, Johnny accuses his mom of being a hypocrite. Next up in the ad hominems is the genetic fallacy. This is an ad hominem argument where someone aims at the origin of a speaker's belief rather than the belief itself or the claim itself, and this is irrelevant to the claim or the argument. So for example, if Peter argues we should help those who are starving if we can, Bill might respond, Peter wants to redistribute wealth because he's a socialist. Bill is responding to the claim that we should help those who are starving by attacking Peter's character in the sense that his beliefs originate from his being a member of a socialist group. Yet this is fallacious because it doesn't matter whether Peter believes this claim because he's a socialist or not, because he's a liberal or not, because he's a Christian or not. The origin of the claim doesn't matter, only the claim itself. So Bill's response is fallacious. It commits the genetic fallacy by attacking the origin of Peter's belief rather than by attacking the belief itself, whether or not we should help those who are starving if we can. Okay, so those were the 5 ad hominem fallacies, fallacies of relevance. Now we're going to look at some other fallacies of relevance, the appeals fallacies. We'll start with the appeals to authority. Appeals to authority can be non-fallacious. In fact, we saw these as assuring terms in the first part of the course. Remember, an appeal to authority is a way to assure someone that some claim is true. 9 out of 10 doctors agree that smoking cigarettes causes cancer. This can be a non-fallacious appeal to authority, but people often employ appeals to authority fallaciously. That is, because they're not relevant to the claim that's being made. So the questions we want to ask to determine whether an appeal to authority is fallacious or legitimate are the following. Is the person in authority on the issue being discussed? Can the issue be settled by appealing to authority? Has the authority been cited correctly? Does the authority have reason to lie? And why is the appeal to authority being made? So, for example, for number 1, this is a common mistake in appealing to authority. This is used in advertising. So when advertisers hire celebrities to endorse their products, for example, they're not authorities on whether or not the product is a good product, yet they endorse it, and this is an example of an appeal to authority that's fallacious. It doesn't matter if Serena Williams likes New Balance sneakers. It doesn't matter if Woody Harrelson likes to drive Cadillacs. If the person is not an authority on the issue or the claim being discussed, then it's a fallacious appeal to authority. Also, with number 2, some issues can't be settled by appealing to authority. Some issues need to be settled by other means. Scientific testing, empirical observation, etc. With 3 and 4, has the authority been cited correctly? This is important because oftentimes people will cite authority, but they will misinterpret the authority's claims. And does the authority have reason to lie? This happens often if someone's being paid to be an authority on some subject, they have reason to lie. We can't believe that the appeal to authority is not fallacious. For example, there were many scientists who testified for Philip Morris decades ago that cigarettes did not cause cancer, and they were being paid by Philip Morris to give these testimonies. And so those were fallacious appeals to authority. So we want to understand why the appeal to authority is being made to determine whether or not the appeal is fallacious. So, for example, the argument, Michael Jordan endorses Nike, so you should too, which is represented by certain commercials for Nike sneakers. This is a fallacious appeal to authority. Michael Jordan is a celebrity, he's a basketball player, but this does not make him an authority on what sneakers you should buy. Similar to appeals to authority are appeals to popular opinion. Like appeals to authority, these can also be non-fallacious depending on the relevance of popular opinion to the issue at hand. So some questions to ask here are, is the opinion widely held? When you appeal to a popular opinion, it has to be the case that the opinion actually is widely held. But also, it has to be the kind of issue where popular opinion is likely to be right. This is the one, number 2, where appeals to popular opinion often become fallacious. Most issues are not issues where popular opinion can make them right. For example, 100 years ago, it might have been popular opinion that slavery was morally permissible. But it should be obvious, I hope, that although most people believed that slavery was morally permissible, it wasn't. Similarly, there was a time when most people believed that the earth was flat. So that appeal to popular opinion should reveal its fallacious nature. So we want to ask why the appeal to popular opinion is being made. Is it because there is no other evidence? If so, it's likely a fallacious appeal. So here's a fallacious appeal to popular opinion. Most people believe that God exists, so he does. This is not the kind of thing that can be proven by most people's beliefs. Whether or not the claim is true is a separate issue. But the appeal to popular opinion is not good evidence to believe that the claim is true. It's a fallacious argument. Similarly, an appeal to tradition is an appeal to popular opinion that has been held for a long time. For example, people have practiced monogamy for generations, so it's obviously morally preferable to polygamy. This is an appeal to tradition. It's an appeal to popular opinion over time. Because people have believed that monogamy is preferable doesn't mean that it is preferable morally. Appeals to pity, rather than an appeal to beliefs, these arguments appeal to emotion. We see these a lot in advertising as well. You can click here for an example. Appeals to fear are similar to appeals to pity. They're only fallacious when they're overdone or exaggerated in order to distract people from an accurate assessment of the risks that really exist. This is often used in politics, in the media, and if you watch shows like Colbert or Stewart, they often make fun of the media for employing these kinds of appeals to fear. Here's one example. You can click here for an example of an appeal to fear that was used in a political scenario. So, the ad hominem fallacies, the denier, silencer, dismisser, the tu quoque, and the genetic fallacy, as well as the appeals fallacies, reveal how the relevance of an attack on character or appeals to authority, popular opinion, tradition, pity, and fear can be fallacious because they're not relevant to the argument or claim at hand.